Hi, I'm Melissa,
And I'm Kelly.
and today we are presenting results for finding a way around relationship between biological sex and spatial navigation. So for our background and hypothesis, so spatial navigation is instinctual for humans, and there are two different types of spatial navigation. There's allocentric and egocentric. And allocentric is primarily landmark based, so they take a specific object and that is used to reference for location. Egocentric is generally a direction-based strategy, so we're using terms such as north, to the right, and in front to describe a object's location. So for both sexes, they are capable of performing both egocentric and allocentric strategies, but previous research has shown that women tend to perform better when they use an allocentric strategy, and men perform better when they use an egocentric strategy. So for our hypothesis, we hypothesized that there would be a significant sex difference in spatial navigation strategy, and that females would perform better for allocentric, and men would perform better for egocentric. So for our methods, the measured variables were, for the independent variable, it was the participant's biological sex, so either female or male. The dependent variable was the spatial navigation strategy that they used to locate the object. For our participants, we had 56 participants overall, 32 were female and 24 were male. And for the materials and procedure, so participants signed up to participate in the study either through a university-managed experimentation website, or they had a direct link shared by the researchers to the participants directly. So participants viewed a Google form that consisted of a photo of a room that had 5 hidden colorful balls, and then a survey related to it afterwards. So the participants saw the photo for 15 seconds, and then they had a 23-question survey that assessed demographics, a manipulation check, and spatial navigation questions that were related to the photo. And if you look at the appendix, you can now see the photo that the participants saw, and you can see the 5 hidden balls within it, and the rings around the balls with the different colors are just used here for presentation purposes so that y'all can see it better. And we also have a sample question that was used in the survey. So it reads, for the yellow ball, would you personally describe its location as in the back of the room or in the flower pot? So the back of the room response would primarily be seen more for an egocentric strategy, and in the flower pot answer would be used more for an allocentric strategy. And as you can see, majority of the participants used an allocentric strategy, so they would score higher in the Likert scale rating.
Alright, so for our results, we conducted a t-test, and the t-test results for both the average score across all items and for the scores for each of the 5 balls indicated that there were no significant differences between male and female spatial navigation preference. A bivariate correlation was also run and revealed that there was no significant correlation between participants' perception of their ability to complete the task and their average scores, nor was there a significant correlation between their perceptions of their own ability and the number of balls that they were able to visually locate. So, discussion. The first thing that we have to discuss is the implications for future research. So, clearly there were no significant differences between the biological sex and preferred spatial navigation. Previous research has been kind of mixed on this, as we noted in our background. Some indicates that there is a difference between the sexes and some does not. Obviously, our results would lean towards maybe there isn't as much of a biological sex difference in spatial navigation preferences and abilities, and that would be something that needs to be further researched in the future. We also have to bring up the potential flaws in procedure. Because the study was virtually conducted in a 2D environment, there's a potential that object location and spatial navigation could not be measured as accurately as they may have been in a 3D physical environment. In contrast, though, the majority of participants did indicate that the balls were not difficult to find, and the majority also indicated that they noticed all 5 of the balls, so it would seem that our procedure itself was somewhat sound. We also have to discuss the potential flaws in materials. So because the scale used in this questionnaire was not necessarily based on any previous research, or any scales that were created by other researchers in the past, there's no indication that it is necessarily providing valid results. So for our tables and figures, as you can see in the top left, the table 1 is demonstrating the results of both, of the multiple t-tests that were run. Provided are the results for each individual colored balls questions that were averaged out, so showing that there were no significant differences between biological sex and the results of preferred spatial navigation for those specific colored balls. And then at the very bottom in the bold is the average, again indicating the p-value was not indicating a significant difference between biological sex and the average scores across for preferred spatial navigation technique. In figure 1 here, we are demonstrating that for both females and males, there was an average score that was fairly even, which further adds this idea, as the t-test result showed, that there was not a significant difference between female and male results or preferred spatial navigation technique. As you can see, both the females and male participants rated pretty evenly at about 3.5, 3.6, which would indicate that they were having a slight allocentric lean, but were typically both females and males towards the middle neutral option. And then figure 2 is indicating the specific results for participants in both the male and female groups. So for the males and for the females, the blue bar is representative of egocentric leans and results, meaning their average was typically towards the egocentric response across all questions. As you can see, the allocentric gray bars on the right of each male and female category are quite larger and therefore indicate a majority of participants would have leaned towards the allocentric preference for spatial navigation. So I'm going to zoom back out here. We appreciate you tuning into our presentation, and you can pause on here and read through the rest of the presentation at your own pace.